Live from the Central Middle School Broadcasting Lab, this is Evangeline Webster with Dreamers Club,
a podcast where we talk about how to human better and other stuff that matters to middle schoolers. Please help me welcome our host, Jay Webster.
Wonderful. Great job, guys. We're so thrilled you're here. And all right, I want to start with a little exercise. So close your... Well, first of all, let me ask you, does everybody know what road this is that's out in front of the school? What's it called? Anybody? Know what this street is right here in front of the school? No. Okay. Cherokee Avenue, yes. And if you go down a little bit further, then it turns into Hillcrest, and that's where the high school is. So this road is called Cherokee, and it's a pretty busy road, right? A lot of traffic up and down for that. Okay, so help me with this. Everybody close your eyes for just a second. I want you to imagine that road out front, and I want you to imagine you have a home on that street, okay, on Cherokee Avenue. And it can look like anything you want it to look like. It can be old-fashioned, it can be ultra-modern, it can be mid-century modern, it can be any house, anything you want it to look like, okay? All right, picturing it? And your front door faces the street, and on the street, there's all kinds of traffic. There's delivery trucks and Amazon trucks and cars and motorcycles and bicycles and everything. All this traffic's going up and down the street. Now, that house is you. That house is your mind, right? And all that traffic or all the individual thoughts or ideas or suggestions that come by in any given day, they just go right by your front door. Okay, you can open your eyes. So that front door is the door to your mind, right? And what's amazing about that is any thought in the world can come by your front door, which is amazing because as much as you know right now, there are whole thousands upon thousands of ideas that are going to come into your mind that aren't there yet. So people you could meet, ideas of things you could do, different colors and different jokes and different song ideas and story ideas and what you want to do with the rest of your life or who you want to meet. All those kinds of things are going to pass by your mind, which is brilliant because things that are not there now can be at some point. The challenge is that every thought in the world can come by your house because it's a public street. There's nothing to guard that. And there's no restrictions on that. Any idea can come by your house. So it's on you, it's on me, to decide what thoughts we let in and what thoughts we don't let in, right? We get to choose. Just because you have an idea, just because you have a thought, doesn't mean it has to stay or come into you, right? So I'm saying that because for me, my mind is like a literal battlefield. Like every day, multiple times a day, thoughts will come into my head and I have to decide, am I going to let that thought in my head or am I going to push that thought out? Am I going to let it come in or not? So we have this term for that. It's called entertaining. So if somebody comes to your house, one of your friends, you make the decision to let them into your house. Well, now you want them to feel welcome in your house. You entertain them, right? You make sure they feel comfortable, make sure they have everything they need, and make sure they know where they need to go, all that kind of stuff. Well, that's what we do with thoughts. When we entertain a thought, we give it space in our brain. We have conversations with it. We think, I wonder what would happen if I ran out into the street. I wonder what would happen if I went to school at OU versus going to school at OSU. I wonder what would happen if I didn't get tater tots next week for lunch. Those are big decisions.
It's a bummer.
Yeah. So when a thought comes into our brain and we think about it and we let it circulate for a while, that's entertaining a thought. We have that option of entertaining thoughts. Well, not all thoughts are good thoughts, right? Some thoughts are thoughts we should kick out. Some thoughts are harmful thoughts, right? What are some of the thoughts that can pop into your brain that you think would be important to maybe kick out instead of entertaining? This thought comes into your brain and you think, I don't want that thought there. What would you kick out? Give me an example of a thought you should kick out.
Anybody want to get us started? They're like, what? I know, it's hard to...
Is there like a recurring thought that you tend to have that pops in your
Yeah, and a lot of times it's a negative thought. I know for me, I'll give an example to get us started. I'm Miss AJ, by the way. Hi, guys. And we're in Miss Elmore's lab. Yay, thanks, Miss Elmore. For me, if I'm having a rough day, I can feel really bad about the way that I look. And logically, in my mind, I know that that's not really who I am, right? Who I am is me. Hopefully a loving, happy, fun person, right? But if I let that stay, that thought will say, you weigh too much, you look this way, your hair is stupid. And listen, I'm old, so you think that's middle school. Those are things that stay in your mind. Yeah. And if I let that thought stick around in my mind, it can literally keep me from being as loving and fun and happy as I want to be because I'm stuck in that loop. Does that happen to any of you guys? All right. Anybody willing to share?
Tell us, give me an idea of a negative thought that pops into your brain.
All right, Nick is let's hear it for our sound engineer, Nick here.
Yeah.
Woo, he's also commentating.
So a negative thought that comes into my mind is, say, whenever someone is being like really annoying or pestering you, it's just the want to knock them out.
Yeah.
Like, just to put that one person to sleep for a couple of hours would be amazing.
Right.
If you could just take a quick four-step.
The thought out of my mind, or I could get expelled.
Well, sure.
That's good.
So,
Yes,
Yeah.
that's a good example. Nick.
But okay, so let me draw this line. We talked about how your mind is on a house out here, right? It's a public street. So there are lots of thoughts that come into my mind that I didn't ask for.
Oh, yeah.
So you might have thoughts about violence. You might have thoughts about racism. You might have thoughts about the people around you. Those things come into your mind. When that happens for me, I don't always feel bad that thought came to my brain. I didn't ask for that thought. I didn't ask for that car to drive by my front door. But now I have to make the decision on if that thought's going to stay or if I'm going to kick that thought out. So lots of thoughts are going to come into your head, but it's not, you don't feel guilty for it. You just think, oh, where'd that come from, right?
Somebody else willing to share like a negative thought that kind of plagued you? Anybody else? Savannah? Thanks.
I guess because sometimes I'll get in my head about what people think about me, and based on how people react to me.
Yes.
So I always assume what they're thinking,
Yes.
and that really bothers me a lot.
Yes. Yeah, that's really important because in our brain we keep this image of ourselves, right? It's how we see ourselves and how we think other people see us, how we perceive other people see us. And when that gets skewed, when that gets kind of messed up a little bit, it can really damage us. Like Anjanette was saying, I was very insecure when I was your age in school. I felt really uncomfortable being in school most of the time, and it's because I felt bad about myself. So that stopped me from connecting with a lot of other people and doing a lot of other things because I was just too insecure to do it. So that's really important the way we see ourselves, right? Good. Yeah. Who else? Negative thoughts, ugly thoughts, things that you think, maybe it's not your thought, but your friend has had the thought, and you think that they should kick that thought out.
There you go. How about one of our sixth graders? Anybody can be brave? Sixth graders, come on. Negative thought? Yeah, thank you. Okay, tell us your name.
My name's Ruby, and whenever I was little, I was insecure about how people thought that I looked, because I was a little chubby kid. So that's why I've been doing strength training on and on and on, and then I was finally able to see that I was perfectly fine by myself.
Good. Congratulations on seeing that.
Nice job. That's good.
Who else?
Anybody else struggle with appearance on a daily basis, even though you know that it's not really supposed to matter? I mean, guys do struggle with that too, right? Mm-hmm. Kaden, you raised your hand.
Yeah.
Moment of honesty. Do you want to say something? No. Okay, but hey, he raised his hand. Good job, Kaden with K.
Yeah. Who else?
All right. Anybody else?
Other thoughts that we should kick out. Okay, so here's a thought we've talked about a lot in Dreamers Club. To me, it's probably one of the most harmful thoughts you can have. And it's this thought, we talked about it a little bit last week. It's the thought that says, I'm the only one that feels this way. I'm the only one that thinks this way. I'm the only one with these weird, wacko thoughts. I'm the only one who struggles with this. So that creates this isolation, right? Because if you're the only one that's struggling with that, you get embarrassed, and it becomes hard to move out of that stuff, right? We can have negative thoughts about other people, the way we see other people. We can have negative thoughts about our school, the place we live, all those kind of things. So that's what happens in our brain. Those thoughts come by our front door on Cherokee Avenue, and it's a thought you don't want. So what do you do with that? How do you get rid of thoughts that you don't want?
Well, okay, think about this, you guys. When you're entertaining somebody, like if you're having your friends over, do you want to know like what kind of snacks they like? And you say, hey, come on in, man, have a seat on the couch. Like, come over here. We're gonna get you some snacks. We're gonna do this, and you make them comfortable so that they can stay longer, right? So when we talk about entertaining thoughts, everybody has negative thoughts every day. But the question is, how long are we going to entertain them and let them stay, right? Sometimes I can let those negative thoughts, I'm like, here, you want a cheeseburger? Like I'm just letting it stay. So at what point can we get them to come out?
Well, Maya was in my health and life skills class, and we talked about the science of gratitude. Do you remember that? How we talked about how gratitude can lift your spirit and help replace those negative, repetitive thoughts. Do you remember anything about that?
I do remember. I do remember about that. We talked about it. I really just think that stuff like that happens, that you just try to think positively and think positive things, and it goes along with it. But whenever you do have someone come over, you do want to make them feel comfortable because you do want them to stay longer, just in case they don't feel comfortable somewhere else.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And I think that's a great picture with gratitude. So the thing about gratitude is once you set your mind on it, if I asked you right now, let's make a list of 5 things that you're thankful for in your life right now. 5 things. It could be your friends, it could be your health, it could be where you live, it could be whatever it is. Once you start making that list, it's hard to shut it off. It's like a faucet. Once you start being grateful or walking in gratitude, that presents this whole attitude of gratitude. Put that on a T-shirt, yeah. So the whole thing is once you start entertaining that guest, they do feel comfortable. If you entertain the guest of gratitude, suddenly gratitude does want to stay with you. Sometimes when I'm struggling in that spot, I will have to make reminders for myself. So I'll have to write something down, set it on my desk or put it in my car to remind myself, oh yeah, I want to remember to be grateful today. I don't want to be negative. I don't want to be dark. So I'm gonna have to do these things. And so putting a reminder can sometimes help.
One thing that helps me is, sometimes when I'm feeling badly about myself, I think of somebody that I know who loves me and who would not agree with me. I picture them in my head and how much I love them, and I think about how much they love me back, and it kind of helps. Does anybody have like a person in their head that they think of when they want to feel cheered up? Or want to feel, who's that person for you,
Tell us a little bit about
Addie?
And why?
My name is Addie, and the person that I would think of, her name is Denver. We've been best friends for a while, and we just have like the same interests, same likes. We're just very like compatible, I suppose. And that makes me feel a lot better because we both kind of think the same way. So if something's wrong with her, I feel like I know how to cheer her up. And if something's wrong with me, I feel like she knows how to cheer me up.
Yeah, good. Great.
Anybody else? Does anybody else, if I'm feeling down, especially, and I have like those negative thoughts, I will go try to find one of those people that I can be around that just make me feel better.
Nick, what do you do to get rid of?
So I don't think about a person because that's just not what comes to mind first. I either think about like hanging out with my dog or reading a book or doing something that I enjoy to keep negative thoughts away and entertain the good ones.
Yeah.
That's really good. Yeah. Sometimes if I just know that I get to read a little bit later, if I have like one of those days that's really, I'm like, I'm going to get to do something I really like later.
Yeah.
And I'll try to remind myself of that.
There was this old guy that I used to take a yoga class with.
Yeah.
And he would say he felt like the key to happiness in life and warding off negative thoughts was to always have something to look forward to.
Yeah.
So he always had something in his day to look forward to, or a trip in the near future or something like that. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I like that. Anybody else have any tricks to kick out thoughts that we don't want to stay? What do you think, Miles? No? We like to call him Miles.
Miles.
Well, my name is Miles.
No,
I
she said
know.
we like to call on Miles.
So I've been kind of having some negative thoughts lately because I kind of strained my tricep at swim a couple months ago, and it's been getting better. But I've kind of getting the thought of it's not going to heal, and I'm just going to have to quit sports in general, which is one thing I really love. And one thought that kind of keeps me entertained is just watching like a movie about struggle and then seeing how they go through. It's kind of like, oh, this is kind of cool. Maybe I
Yeah.
could do it.
So you can tap into something that's inspirational, somebody else who's gone through what you've gone through. Yeah, and that's really encouraging. That's great. Yeah. So we use this tool a little bit. Sometimes it's movies. Sometimes it's a spiritual practice. There are proverbs, from all kinds of spiritual practices. But the reason those things have value is because lots of people have gone through that. So the things that we call proverbs from all these different faith groups and all that kind of stuff, well, those are sometimes thousands of years old. And that means they've been tried and tested for thousands of years and proven to be accurate, proven to be useful. So it's not just one person saying you should do this. It's all these people who have lived all these generations who have said, generation after generation, here are the things we've found to be true. And that helps us. It gives us a little help. And so somebody else's inspirational story works that way.
Yeah.
To say, oh, yeah. So it helps me sometimes when I get that dark thought or that ugly thought that I'm the only one that feels this way. I remember that I'm part of a community, or I'm part of a people group, and lots of people before me have had the same thought, the same experience, and yet they made it through. And if they made it through, then maybe I can as well, right?
Does anybody use music as a way to pull up out of, tell us a little bit about how you use that. Like favorite song or a certain kind of music?
There is a word for it,
Yeah.
but I'm just kind of a person, like, I have to have music to get through my day. That's kind of how I am and how I've always been.
Do you go to a certain kind of music, like when you need to feel like more up, or?
So I know, like, if my dad was introducing someone to me, the first thing that he usually describes about me is one thing, my almost, addiction to music.
Your addiction
I
to
just
music.
always have AirPods or headphones in because that's how I get through my day.
That's cool.
But he'll also say, oh, she listens to everything.
Everything. That's
like,
awesome.
yeah, it's
You're
a
well-rounded.
very
Yes.
wide variety range.
I love that. That's really
On
cool.
the whole historical parts about journeys that are similar to ours that we know people have been through and that can inspire us, is there anybody in your lives that you look up to? You're like, look, they overcame this adversity or this negativity. Is there anybody that you kind of use as an example in your life of somebody you might want to strive to be inspired by for overcoming negativity or struggle? Anybody?
That's good. Yeah. All right. Veronica's working hard. Good job, Veronica.
Probably my grandmother. I look up to her a lot. I spend most of my life at her house or spending time with her.
Yeah.
So that's who I feel like I can always talk to and who I really look up as a role model.
That's so cool. I love it.
When I started thinking about this for myself, and I thought about, okay, what do I do when I'm in a dark place? What I think is interesting is a lot of times when I have thoughts that I don't want in my brain, my natural reaction is to be alone. I feel like I want to be alone. But especially when I feel self-loathing or self-hate, or I don't like myself, or I have dark thoughts, or I have thoughts that I wish I could get out of my brain, the idea of being with other people means there's literally less time for those thoughts in my brain. The more I am with others, the more I socialize with others, the more with people who are encouraging or uplifting, literally the less time I have to think about either myself or bad thoughts or ugly thoughts, and that really helps me. So now we're starting to find out how important being with other people are, especially people that have gratitude or that have peace or that encourage us, people who don't tear us down, people who make us feel better about ourselves. All those things, that's starting to be listed as the number one health concern in America. So even...
Yes.
Well, yeah, so loneliness is an epidemic. And then if you look at longevity, meaning how long we live. So in America, even though we are literally the richest nation in the world, we have more medical health than any other country, we don't live as long as other nations. And part of that comes down to how much we're connected to each other. So the number one, the leading factor in longevity, how long you live, isn't really just your genes. It's not exercise. It's not even your diet. It's how socially connected you are. The more you're connected to other human beings, that is the leading factor on longevity in your life. And that's amazing. So I find that with thoughts, the more I can be around people who have positive thoughts, who have life energy in them, then the more I benefit from that in the process, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So it's interesting that when you guys talk about what you would do when you feel bad or if you have negative thoughts, most of you go to, oh, I get together with so-and-so, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Jay, would you do us a favor? You have this funny story that Jay tells. Sometimes we'll be walking around the house and I'll hear Jay in another room. He's having a really hard time. He was having a really rough week a while back. And he would say, I'd just hear him be like, nope. Right. Nope. He was like literally talking to himself. So tell him about your nope story.
Yeah. So I
use it.
I had this little season I was in, and I felt really, really bad. And I knew that what I was thinking wasn't really true. I knew the way I was feeling wasn't really true. But some thoughts you can just kick out right away. Some thoughts are pestering. They'll just poke you and they'll stay with you. And it takes a long time to get over the way you see yourself or the way you feel about yourself or whatever that ugly thought is. And so there was this reoccurring thought. I think of it like a fly, like in late fall when the flies get to be like the size of chihuahuas in your house. You can hear them bumping against your window and stuff. You're like, oh my gosh, it's like they're asking you to kill them. So that's the way this thought was. It was just a pestering thing. And it just kept coming in. I couldn't seem to get away from the thought. And I finally figured out my only real remedy was to talk to it out loud. So the thought would come into my brain. I was like, no, not going to do that. Nope, not going to do that. And somehow, after about a week or two, it actually really helped. So something about saying it out loud, it's like talking to a friend out loud. You know, if you go to a friend and you say, this is what I'm going through, that gives you some relief. Well, something about speaking that out loud, nope, no,
That's right.
not going to have that thought, not going to do that, not going to feel that way. Not going to let that back in. That really, really helped me in the process. So.
Yeah, and it's a cool reminder to all of us to remember that our mind, it is a choice, what we dwell on. And even though we lose some days, we actually are in charge of who comes in.
Right.
It's pretty cool. So.
Yeah. So we don't have to, just because you live on a public street and your door is facing a busy street and all that traffic is going up and down, we do have control over what thoughts come in, what thoughts stay, what thoughts we kick out. And I do want to encourage you, when you recognize that thought is negative or dark or ugly, to kick it out right away. Because the longer a thought stays in your brain, the bigger it gets, the more entrenched it gets. It's like a fat thought that sits on your couch and eats all your Cheetos, and if you don't ask them to leave right away, they're just loving being in your place, right? Yeah, so you got to kick them out right away.
You guys did a great job. We want to thank everybody for sharing today. Give yourselves a hand. Yes. I like it. Hey, it takes guts to be in middle school and to share your thoughts and feelings in front of people, so you guys are awesome.
Yeah.
Special thanks to our audio engineer, Nick, to our audio assistant, Veronica, and Miss Elmore for letting us...
Central Middle School Broadcasting.
That's right. All right. Great job, you guys. Please listen to the podcast when you get a chance. You guys did a great job.
We'll do one more of these next week with the kids that are here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll see you guys next week. Thanks a lot.
Peace out.